Isaac Newton's second law of motion says force is equal to mass times acceleration, which means if athletes want to put in the hard hits, it helps to be fast, big, and strong. Collision sports have always been rough and tough, but as they've become more professional, players have become bigger and stronger, which means their blows have become, well... But what impact is this having on collision sports? When it comes to professional sports, winning is everything. And in collision sports like American football and rugby, marginal gains can come from having bigger and stronger athletes.
Teams are increasingly taking the players they have and beefing them up to make them more competitive.
Take rugby union. 28 years ago, the average weight of the 1991 World Cup England squad was 94.8 kilograms. In 2019, it's 105.9 kilograms. That's more than a 10% increase. Joe Dhokanasina plays for England.
Hi.
He's a fast guy. He plays on the wing. He's also a big guy.
I am 115 kg and 6'3", but I like to say 4.
How have rugby players got so big? In 1995, rugby union went from an amateur sport to professional. Media moguls, like Rupert Murdoch, threw money at broadcast rights, and the sport was to change forever. Players had to go from the everyman to superman, adopting strict fitness regimes, training schedules, and diet plans, all to maximise their potential.
When players can get a job or earn a much higher salary as a function of putting on an extra 10 pounds of muscle, you can bet they're going to hit the weight room.
Bigger players can get tired more easily, but a rule change allowing more substitutions meant players no longer needed to last a full game. The result has been a super breed of player. Just take a look at Jeremy Guscott in 1995, compared with his equivalent, Manu Tuilagi, in 2019. But since professionalism, there have also been changes in rugby injuries, and some experts think this may be caused by players with a higher body mass. Between 1996 and 2000, immediately after the game went professional, the rate of injuries among elite Australian players increased by 57%. At Bath University, researchers have been recording rugby injury data since 2002. They've found the rate of injuries hasn't actually increased since then, but the nature of the injuries has. Professor Keith Stokes leads the research team.
How long it takes for players to get back to full training has increased. And we don't really know whether that's because the injuries are more serious or because the injuries are being treated differently. But what we do know is that if we talk to some of the surgeons who carry out surgery on some of the more serious injuries, often they're more complex these days than they were before. So that gives us a hint that some of the collisions that we see create more structural damage.
The research team have also found that the rate of concussions among players has increased since 2011. And now there is an average of around 1 incident of concussion per match.
The detection of concussion has improved dramatically, and this might be one of the reasons why there's been an increase in concussion. Of course, the other thing is that the game has changed, and things like an increase in the speed of the game, the amount of time when the ball is in play, and therefore the number of tackles and the size of those collisions may also play a role.
It's not just rugby. American football has been rocked by reports that an increasing number of retired NFL players who have suffered concussions have developed memory and cognitive issues. A study of deceased NFL players found that 99% of them had a degenerative brain disease believed to be caused by repeated blows to the head.
The NFL has faced a series of lawsuits from former players who suffered head trauma and were demanding compensation. They reached an extremely expensive settlement, and to a certain extent they have learned a lesson from that or been forced to.
In an effort to reduce concussions, the NFL banned helmet-to-helmet hits, punishing them with a penalty and sometimes even by suspending the player. Across other collision sports, there have been changes around concussion detection and prevention. These include substitutions for head injuries, while a player is assessed by a doctor off the pitch. And in the 2019 Rugby World Cup, new rules around high tackles were brought in, which officials say have led to a 35% reduction in the rate of concussion.
These are all positive signs, but a lot of critics would say it's lipstick on a pig and the players are going to keep getting hit, including their heads. You're never going to be able to eliminate that. So it does raise questions about the viability of the sport in the long run and whether you'll continue to get athletes who are willing to subject themselves to this.
The impact of the new breed of bigger players goes much further than what happens on the pitch. Behind the scenes, it's affecting the laws of the game and the players' safety. As the supermen of collision sports become ever more powerful, balancing their welfare will become the biggest challenge.